So I spent 40 years predicting market crashes for millionaires. Then I met a woman who predicted mine, and I paid her to watch it happen. This story was shared with us by a viewer who wanted his experience heard, and we're grateful he trusted us with it. I'm 71 now. I live in a one-room apartment in Queens, working part-time at a tax preparation office. 5 years ago, I had $2.3 million in retirement accounts, a condo in Manhattan, and an investment property in the Hamptons. Then I met Chan in a night market in Chiang Mai. She read my palm under colored lights and told me 3 things. I would find love again, I would lose everything I owned, and I would finally understand what wealth meant. I laughed at the second part. I married her 4 months later. She was right about all 3. If stories like this make you think twice about the life you're building, hit like, comment below, and tell us where you're watching from. I made my last big trade on a Thursday in March. 2019 tech stocks, perfect timing, cleared $340,000 in profit. I was 66 years old. I celebrated alone in my condo with a scotch I couldn't taste. That was the moment I realized I'd won a game I didn't want to play anymore. I'd spent 4 decades on Wall Street, survived 2 divorces, built a portfolio that impressed everyone and meant nothing. My ex-wives had moved on. My colleagues were strangers with business cards. I had money and nobody to spend it on. That weekend, I booked a one-way ticket to Thailand. Not a vacation, an escape. I told my assistant I'd be gone 2 months. I stayed 8. Chiang Mai wasn't what I expected. No wild parties or bars full of desperate men. Just mountains, temples, quiet streets where nobody knew my name or cared about my portfolio. I rented a small house near the old city. Walked every morning. Ate street food. For the first time in years, I felt light. Then, one evening in November, I wandered into the Saturday night market. That's where I saw her. Chan was sitting at a small folding table covered in purple cloth, tarot cards spread in front of her, a silk scarf around her shoulders. She looked young, maybe mid-20s, with this calm, focused expression. A tourist couple sat across from her, hanging on every word. I almost walked past. But something made me stop. Maybe loneliness. Maybe curiosity. She looked up and smiled. "You want to know your future?" Her English was soft but clear. I sat down. I didn't believe in fortune tellers. I believed in data, patterns, probability. But I was bored and she was beautiful. She took my hand gently, traced the lines with her fingertip. Her touch was warm. She studied my palm for a long moment, then looked up at me with these deep, serious eyes. "You are tired," she said. "You carry too much." I felt something crack open inside me. Nobody had said that to me in years. She told me I would find love again, that I would lose everything, that I'd finally understand wealth. I laughed at the bankruptcy part. I had $2.3 million. I was untouchable. I came back to her table 3 nights later. I told myself it was just for fun, maybe some conversation. The truth was I hadn't felt seen like that in decades. Chan smiled when she saw me approach. "You come back," she said. "I knew you would." We didn't do another reading. We just talked. She asked me why I came to Thailand. I told her the short version. Retirement, boredom, escape. She nodded like she understood. "Many Farang come here to forget," she said. "But forgetting is not healing." I asked about her life. She'd grown up poor in a village northeast of Chiang Mai. Her grandmother taught her to read cards and palms. When her parents couldn't afford her schooling, she moved to the city and started working the night markets. Tourists loved the mysticism. She made enough to send money home every month. "I see people's fears," she said quietly. "Everyone is afraid of same thing. Being alone, being nothing." She looked at me when she said it. I felt exposed. Over the next 2 weeks, I came back almost every night. We'd talk after she finished with customers. She'd tell me about her family. Her sick mother, her younger brother, who wanted to be a teacher. I told her about New York, my empty condo, my marriages that died from neglect. We laughed. We sat in comfortable silences. One night, she reached across the table and touched my hand. "You are a good man, Cliff," she said. "You just forget how to be happy." I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope, not the market kind, the human kind. By December, we were spending whole days together. I'd pick her up in the mornings. We'd visit temples, eat at street stalls, walk along the river. She showed me her Thailand, the real one, not the postcard version. I started thinking about staying longer, maybe permanently. One evening, as we sat by the Ping River watching the sunset, she leaned her head on my shoulder. "I feel safe with you," she whispered. I wrapped my arm around her. I was 70 years old. She was 26. I knew what people would think, but for the first time in my life I didn't care. I kissed her forehead. "I feel alive with you," I said. It was the truth. 2 weeks later, I asked her to marry me. She cried and said yes. We got married in a small ceremony at a temple outside Chiang Mai. Her family came, mother, brother, aunts, cousins. They were warm, polite, but I could see the questions in their eyes. I was older than her father would have been. I wore a rented Thai silk shirt. Chan looked radiant in traditional dress. A monk blessed us. Afterward, we had lunch at her mother's house. Simple food, lots of smiling. Her brother, Somkit, spoke decent English. He pulled me aside during the meal. "You take care of my sister," he said. It wasn't a question. "I will," I promised. He nodded slowly. "She has gift," he said. "She see things. But gift is heavy. You understand?" I didn't, but I said yes anyway. Later that evening, back at the hotel, Chan sat on the edge of the bed, looking distant. "What's wrong?" I asked. She looked up at me with worried eyes. "I did reading for myself last night," she said quietly. "What did you see?" She hesitated. "I see you lose money. I see you very angry. I see me alone." My stomach tightened. "Chan, those are just cards." "They don't—" "No," she interrupted. "I see true. My grandmother teach me. When I read for myself, I always write." I sat beside her and took her hand. "Listen to me. I've been managing money for 40 years. I know what I'm doing. Nothing's going to happen to us." She didn't look convinced. "Maybe we move slow," she said. "Maybe you keep money separate, safe." I should have listened. God, I should have listened. But I was drunk on love, on purpose, on feeling needed again. "I'm not afraid," I said. "We're in this together." She nodded, but the worry never left her face. That night I held her close and promised her the world. I meant it. I didn't realize she'd already seen how it would end. Looking back now, I wonder if that's why she stayed. Not because she wanted to hurt me, but because she'd seen it was inevitable, and she was trying to soften the blow. Some fortunes you can't outrun. You can only watch them arrive. The first few months of marriage felt like a dream I didn't want to wake from. I extended my visa, then applied for a retirement visa. We moved into a larger apartment near the university. 2 bedrooms, balcony with a view of the mountains. I paid a year up front in cash. Chan quit working the night market. I didn't ask her to, she just stopped going. "I want to focus on being wife," she said one morning, "and maybe learn to cook Farang food for you." I loved her for trying, but I also noticed small changes. She started asking questions about my finances. How much did I have? Where was it invested? Could I access it from Thailand? I answered honestly. I had nothing to hide. She seemed relieved. "I just want to make sure we are safe," she said. "My family, they always struggle with money. I don't want that life again." I understood. I started sending money to her mother every month, $500. It wasn't much for me, but it was a fortune for them. Her brother's teacher training was expensive. I covered it. Her mother needed dental work. I paid for it. I felt good, useful, like my money finally had meaning. Then Chan suggested I move more funds to Thailand. "Why keep money in America?" she said. "You live here now. It's easier if we have it close." It made sense. I opened a Thai bank account and transferred $200,000, then another $150,000. I kept the bulk, about $1.8 million, in U.S. accounts. But having local money felt practical, smart even. By June, we'd fallen into a comfortable rhythm. Chan managed the apartment. I explored investment opportunities in Chiang Mai. Real estate was booming. I met with developers, looked at condo projects. Everyone wanted foreign investment. One evening, Chan came home excited. "My cousin, he has business idea," she said. "Coffee shop and gallery. Very popular with tourists. He needs partner." I was cautious. "How much?" "Maybe 1 million baht," she said. About $30,000. "He pay back in 2 years. Good profit." I thought about it. It wasn't much. And it would help her family. Let me meet him first, I said. She kissed me. You are so generous, Cliff. I am lucky. I felt like the lucky one. I still thought I was building something. I didn't realize I was just handing over the bricks. Chan's cousin, Niran, was 32 and had the smooth confidence of a man who'd sold things his whole life. We met at a trendy cafe in the Nimanhemin area. He wore pressed khakis and a polo shirt, spoke fluent English, and had a business plan printed on glossy paper. The coffee shop would be on a busy street near the university. Half cafe, half gallery space for local artists. Tourists love this area, he said, pointing to photos. Students too. Very steady business. I already have location, just need capital for renovations and equipment. I asked about his experience. He'd managed a guest house for 5 years, ran a small tour company. Nothing in food service. That made me hesitate. Restaurants are risky, I said, even with a good location. Niran smiled. This is Thailand. Overhead very low. We break even in 6 months, profit in 1 year. Chan sat beside me, nodding along. Niran is very smart, she said. He helped many family members with business ideas. I looked at the numbers. They seemed optimistic, but not impossible. $30,000. I'd spent more than that on bad stock tips. I want a contract, I said, in clear terms, repayment schedule, everything legal. Niran's smile never wavered. Of course, my lawyer will prepare everything. We shook hands. I transferred the money 2 weeks later. The contract came via email, 12 pages of Thai legal language with an English summary. I should have hired my own lawyer to review it. I didn't. I trusted Chan. I trusted family. The cafe opened in September. I went to the launch party. It looked beautiful, exposed brick, vintage furniture, local art on the walls. Niran seemed thrilled. Chan was proud. I felt good. By November, I asked about repayment. Niran said business was slower than expected. Give it time, Chan said. He is working hard. I let it go. Then in January, I stopped by unannounced. The cafe was nearly empty. 2 customers. The art on the walls looked the same as opening night. I asked the staff where Niran was. They said he only came by once a week. Something felt wrong. When I confronted him, Niran got defensive. Business takes time to build, he said. You need patience. I asked for financial statements. He said his accountant was preparing them. They never came. By March, the cafe was closed. A sign in the window said, "Renovations." It never reopened. I lost $30,000. Niran stopped answering my calls. When I asked Chan to help, she got quiet. He is family, she said. I cannot push too hard. I felt the first crack in my trust. But I told myself it was just bad luck. I still believed we were in this together. In May, I woke up one morning to find Chan sitting on the balcony with her tarot cards spread in front of her. She was staring at them with an expression I'd never seen before. Pale, tense, almost frightened. What's wrong? I asked. She looked up at me, eyes wet. I did reading for us, she said quietly. I sat down beside her. And? It is very bad, Cliff. She pointed to the cards, the tower, the 10 of swords, the devil. I didn't know tarot, but even I could tell these weren't good signs. What do they mean? I asked. She took a shaky breath. They mean destruction, loss. You will lose everything, and I will be the reason. My chest tightened. Chan, those are just cards. They don't... No, she said firmly. I told you before. When I read for real, I am never wrong. My grandmother, she saw her own death in cards. She told me 1 month before. She was right. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to dismiss it as superstition, but she looked genuinely terrified. Then we'll be careful, I said. We'll make smart choices. We control our future. She shook her head slowly. I see more family asking for money. I see big investment you will make. I see everything fall, and I see you hate me at the end. I pulled her close. I could never hate you. You will, she whispered. I see it. I tried to reassure her, told her we'd be cautious, that I wouldn't make any big investments without serious research. She nodded, but I could tell she didn't believe me. That afternoon her brother called. Their mother needed surgery, gallbladder. It would cost 180,000 baht, about $5,000. I didn't hesitate. I sent the money. Then her aunt needed help with a land payment, $3,000. A week later, another cousin, different from Niran, needed money for a medical emergency. 2,000. I kept saying yes. I told myself it was family. That's what you do. But each time I transferred money, I'd see Chan watching me with that same haunted look. Like she was watching a prophecy unfold. "You should stop," she said one night. "You should keep your money safe." "They're your family," I said. "Our family." She turned away. "I know what is coming," she said quietly. "I just cannot stop it." I should have listened. I should have pulled back. But I was too proud, too convinced I could prove her wrong. I didn't realize that sometimes the fortune isn't a warning, it's just a map of where you're already headed. In July, I met an Australian expat named Graham at a business networking event. He was developing a boutique resort near Pai, a trendy mountain town 2 hours from Chiang Mai. Luxury bungalows, infinity pool, farm-to-table restaurant. He had renderings, architectural plans, and a persuasive pitch. "Tourism's booming," he said over beers. "Properties like this book out a year in advance. I've got 2 investors already. Just need 1 more to finish funding." The buy-in was $180,000 USD, 20% ownership, projected returns of 15% annually once operational. I was interested. I'd been looking for a solid investment in Thailand, something with real potential. I told Chan about it that evening. Her face went pale. "No," she said immediately. "This is the one. This is the investment from the cards." I tried to stay calm. "Chan, I've done my research. This is legitimate. Graham has a track record. The tourism market here is strong." She grabbed my arm. "Cliff, please, I am begging you. Do not do this." I pulled away, frustrated. "You can't live your life afraid of cards, Chan. This is a good opportunity." She stared at me with tears in her eyes. "I told you I see true. Why you don't believe me?" "Because I've spent 40 years analyzing investments," I said, my voice rising. "I know how to evaluate risk. This isn't superstition, it's business." She turned away. "Then you will lose it," she said quietly. "And you will blame me, just like the cards show." I didn't respond. I was angry. Angry that she was trying to control my decisions with fortune-telling. Angry that she didn't trust my judgment. The next morning I met with Graham and signed the contract. I wired $180,000 from my US account. Graham was thrilled. "You won't regret this, mate," he said. Chan didn't speak to me for 3 days. When she finally did, her voice was hollow. "It is done now," she said. "Nothing can change it." Construction was supposed to start in September. By October, Graham said there were permit delays. By December, he stopped answering emails. I flew to Pai in January to see the property myself. The land was there, but it was raw, undeveloped, with no sign of construction. I asked around. A local shopkeeper told me the project had been stalled for over a year. Zoning issues, no permits approved. I called Graham 30 times. He answered once. "Mate, it's complicated. These things take time in Thailand." Then he stopped responding entirely. I hired a lawyer in Bangkok. It took 4 months to get a clear picture. The project was abandoned. Graham had collected money from multiple investors and disappeared. The lawyer said I could sue, but it would take years and cost more than I'd lost. I'd been scammed. $180,000 gone. Chan never said, "I told you so." She just looked at me with sad, knowing eyes. That was worse. After I lost the resort money, something shifted in me. I became obsessed with tracking every baht, every dollar. I started reviewing all the money I'd given Chan's family, the monthly payments to her mother, her brother's education, the cafe, the medical emergencies. I added it up. Over 18 months, I'd given away nearly $90,000 to her family. Plus the $180,000 resort scam. I'd burned through $250,000. My retirement account in the US was down to $1.6 million, still substantial, but shrinking fast. And I was spending $4,000 a month just on living expenses in Chiang Mai. I started asking Chan questions, hard questions. Did Niran ever intend to pay me back? She looked away. I don't know. Was your mother's surgery real? Yes, she said, defensive. You think I lie about my mother? I don't know what to think anymore, I said. The warmth between us was gone. We slept in the same bed but didn't touch. She stopped cooking, I stopped talking. One night I came home and found her crying at the kitchen table, cards spread in front of her again. What now? I asked, exhausted. She looked up at me with red eyes. I see the end, she said. What end? Of us? Of your money? Of everything? I laughed bitterly. Well, you've been right so far. She stood up suddenly, angry. You think I want this? You think I want to see? You lose everything? I don't know what you want, Chan, I said coldly. Maybe you wanted a retirement plan. She slapped me, not hard but sharp enough to shock us both. We stared at each other. I loved you, she said, her voice breaking. I still love you, but you don't listen. You think you're smarter than fate. You are not. She walked to the bedroom and closed the door. I stood there alone. My phone buzzed. Email from my broker in New York. The market was down. My portfolio had dropped another $40,000 that week. I poured a scotch and sat on the balcony. The mountains looked dark and far away. I thought about Chan's first reading. You will find love again. You will lose everything. You will finally understand what wealth means. 2 out of 3 had come true. I had a feeling the third was coming fast. I just didn't know if I'd survive it. By April, I was panicking. My US accounts were down to $1.3 million, so still a fortune by most standards, but not for a 71-year-old man with no income. I couldn't afford to keep bleeding money. I needed to make it back. Fast. That's when I met Suchart. He was a property developer in Bangkok, recommended by another expat. He was building a condominium complex near the new airport rail line. Prime location. Pre-construction prices. Guaranteed returns. You buy now, price is 3.5 million baht per unit, he said. When building finish, value is 6 million, maybe more. You can rent or sell. Very safe. 3.5 million baht was about $100,000 USD. If I bought 3 units, I could double my money in 2 years. Maybe triple. I could recover everything I'd lost. I ran the numbers over and over. It made sense. It had to make sense. Chan begged me not to do it. Cliff, please, she said. You are desperate. Desperate people make bad choices. I'm not desperate, I lied. I'm strategic. You are trying to beat the cards, she said. You cannot beat fate. Watch me, I said. I wired $300,000 to Suchart's company account. I bought 3 units. Suchart sent me contracts, floor plans, photos of the construction site. Everything looked legitimate. For 2 months I got updates. The foundation was poured. The first floors were going up. Suchart sent photos. Then the updates stopped. I called. No answer. I emailed. No response. I hired another lawyer, my second in Thailand. It took 3 weeks to get the truth. Suchart's company was under investigation for fraud. The condo project was real, but he'd sold the same units to multiple buyers. Dozens of people had been scammed. My $300,000 was gone. The lawyer said I could join a class action lawsuit, but recovery was unlikely. I sat in the lawyer's office in Bangkok, numb. I was down to $950,000. In 2 years, I'd lost more than half my retirement savings. That night, I couldn't face going back to Chiang Mai. I checked into a cheap hotel near Khao San Road and drank until I couldn't think. Around midnight, my phone rang. It was Chan. Where are you? She asked quietly. Bangkok. You lost the money? It wasn't a question. Yes. She was silent for a long moment. Then, come home, Cliff. Please. I don't have a home, I said. I don't have anything. I hung up. I didn't go back to Chiang Mai for a week. When I finally returned to Chiang Mai, Chan was waiting at the apartment. She looked thin, exhausted. The place was clean but felt empty, cold. We need to talk, she said. I dropped my bag. What's left to talk about? Everything, she said. Sit down. I sat. She pulled a chair across from me. I am not innocent, she began. I let you give money to my family. I should have stopped you. I saw what was coming, but I was scared. Scared to be poor again. Scared to lose you. So I let it happen. I stared at her. You used me. No, she said firmly. I loved you. I still love you. But I am weak. I am human. When you give money so easy, I think maybe the cards are wrong. Maybe we can be happy and safe. But cards are never wrong. I felt rage rising in my chest. So you knew I'd lose everything and you just watched? I tried to warn you, she said, her voice breaking. Every time. I begged you not to invest. You did not listen. You were so sure you know better. She was right. I knew she was right, but I couldn't admit it. You should have tried harder, I said coldly. She nodded slowly, tears streaming down her face. Maybe, or maybe I should never marry you. Maybe I am the bad luck. The cards show I am the reason you lose everything. Maybe they're right. She stood up and walked to the bedroom. When she came back, she had a small bag packed. What are you doing? I asked. I am leaving, she said quietly. You need to start over. You need to fix your life. And I am the problem. Chan, no, she interrupted. You hate me now. Maybe you don't say it, but I see it in your eyes. Every time you look at me, you see your money gone. I cannot live like that. She walked to the door. I wanted to stop her. Part of me wanted to grab her and apologize and beg her to stay. But another part, the bitter, broken part, wanted her gone. Where will you go? I asked. Back to my family, she said. I will work again. I will survive. I always survive. She opened the door, then turned back. I am sorry, Cliff. I am sorry I could not save you. I am sorry I was not stronger. Then she left. I sat there for hours staring at the empty apartment. Everything she'd brought was gone. The smell of her perfume, the little Buddha statue she kept by the window, the plants she watered every morning. All of it. I was alone again, exactly where I'd started. Except now I was broke. And broken. After Chan left, I stopped pretending I was okay. I spent days in bed. Didn't shave. Barely ate. I'd wake up at 2 a.m. and check my bank accounts on my phone, hoping the numbers would somehow be different. They never were. $20,000 left. It sounds like a lot, but I was 71 years old. I'd burned through $1.4 million in 2 years. At this rate, I'd be broke in 5 years. Maybe less. I started having panic attacks. My chest would tighten. I couldn't breathe. I'd sit on the bathroom floor gasping, thinking this was it. Heart attack, death, alone in Thailand. I contacted my broker in New York. Told him I needed to be more conservative. Move everything into bonds and dividends. He asked if everything was okay. I lied and said yes. The truth was I couldn't afford to lose another dollar. My visa was expiring. I could renew, but the retirement visa required proof of income or $25,000 in a Thai bank account. I had about $80,000 left locally. If I stayed, I was stuck. If I left, I had to go back to New York, back to the empty condo, back to nothing. I thought about Chan constantly. Where was she? Was she okay? Did she ever think about me? One night I got drunk and called her. She answered on the 4th ring. Hello? It's me, I said. Silence. Then, are you okay, Cliff? No, I admitted. I'm not okay. Where are you? Still in Chiang Mai. I don't know what to do. She sighed softly. You need to go home. Back to America. Start again. I don't have a home, I said. Thailand was supposed to be home. Thailand was escape, she said gently. But you cannot run from yourself. You need to face what you are. Who you are. I don't know who that is anymore, I whispered. You will learn, she said. You are strong. Stronger than you think. We talked for an hour. She told me she was back working the night market. Sending money to her family again. Living with her mother. Do you hate me? I asked. No, she said. I never hate you. I just sad. For both of us. When we hung up, I felt something shift. Not hope, not peace. Just clarity. It was time to leave. I left Thailand in September, 2.5 years after I'd arrived. I sold what little furniture I had, packed 2 suitcases and booked a one-way flight to New York. My condo in Manhattan was exactly as I'd left it. Dusty. Cold. A museum of my old life. I stood in the doorway and felt nothing. I'd spent $1.4 million chasing something I couldn't name. Love, purpose, escape. and I'd come back with none of it. But I wasn't broke, not yet. I still had $880,000. I could live modestly. Carefully, I started seeing a therapist, a woman in her 50s who specialized in late-life transitions. I told her everything. The marriages, the loneliness, Thailand, Chan, the money. You weren't scammed, she said one session. At least not in the way you think. You made choices, desperate choices. You were trying to buy meaning. I know, I said. So what do I do now? You build a life that doesn't require purchasing, she said. You find meaning in what you do, not what you spend. It sounded simple. It wasn't. I left Thailand in September, 2.5 years after I'd arrived. I sold what little furniture I had, packed 2 suitcases and booked a one-way flight to New York. My condo in Manhattan was exactly as I'd left it. Dusty, cold, a museum of my old life. I stood in the doorway and felt nothing. I'd spent $1.4 million chasing something I couldn't name. Love, purpose, escape, and I'd come back with none of it. But I wasn't broke, not yet. I still had $880,000. I could live modestly. Carefully, I started seeing a therapist, a woman in her 50s who specialized in late-life transitions. I told her everything. The marriages, the loneliness, Thailand, Chan, the money. You weren't scammed, she said one session. At least not in the way you think. You made choices, desperate choices. You were trying to buy meaning. I know, I said. So what do I do now? You build a life that doesn't require purchasing, she said. You find meaning in what you do, not what you spend. It sounded simple. It wasn't. I started volunteering at a financial literacy nonprofit in Queens, teaching low-income families how to budget, save, invest. It was humbling. I'd lost a fortune, but I still knew how money worked. I could help people avoid my mistakes. I also started writing. Nothing fancy. Just a blog about my experience. I called it The Expensive Education of a Foolish Man. I wrote about Thailand, about Chan, about the investments, the desperation, the loss. To my surprise, people read it. Other expats, retirees, men who'd made similar mistakes. They commented, shared their stories. Some thanked me for being honest. One message stood out. It was from a 63-year-old man in Australia. I was about to move to the Philippines and invest in a beach resort. After reading your story, I'm rethinking everything. You probably just saved me $200,000, thank you. That message made me feel something I hadn't felt in years. Useful, not because of my money, because of my failure. I'd become the cautionary tale I never wanted to be. But maybe that was my purpose now. I thought about Chan, wondered if she'd ever read my blog, if she'd recognize herself in the stories, if she'd know I didn't hate her. I never hated her. I just hated what I'd become. In December, I got an unexpected email. It was from Chan. The subject line said, "I read your words." My heart stopped. I opened it slowly. "Dear Cliff, I found your blog. My friend in Chiang Mai sent me the link. She said, 'This man write about you.' At first, I'm angry. I think you make me look bad, but then I read everything. You are honest. You do not blame only me. You blame yourself too. That take courage. I want to tell you something I never tell you before. The night before I meet you, I did reading for myself. The cards told me I would meet a man who is lost, that I would love him, that I would hurt him without meaning to, and that he would teach me something important about fate. I thought maybe I could change it. I thought maybe if I warn you, if I love you enough, the cards would be wrong. But cards are never wrong. They just show what is already written. I did not steal from you, Cliff, but I also did not save you. I was too weak, too scared of being poor. I let you give and give because it felt safe. I am sorry for that. But I want you to know you did find love. Real love. I loved you with my whole heart. Maybe that love hurt you. Maybe it broke you. But it was real. And you did lose everything. Not just money. You lost your pride, your control, your belief that you can predict everything. That was the bankruptcy the cards saw. Not just dollars, your whole self. But now you understand wealth. I see it in your writing. You understand wealth is not money in bank. Wealth is having purpose, helping people, being honest, being useful. You are richer now than when we met, even with less money. The cards were right about everything, even the part where you would not hate me. I read your blog. You do not hate me. That made me cry. I hope you find peace, Cliff. I hope you find the life you were always supposed to live. I am sorry I was part of the painful path. But maybe painful path was the only way you could learn. With love and sadness, Chan, I read the email 3 times. Then I sat back and exhaled. She was right. About everything. The cards had predicted it all. I just hadn't understood what the words meant. I wasn't bankrupt. I was freed, stripped down, rebuilt. And that required losing everything first. By the spring of 2024, I'd settled into a rhythm. I still lived in my Manhattan condo, but I'd downsized my lifestyle. No expensive dinners. No luxury purchases. I budgeted carefully. $3,000 a month. I could live on that for decades if I was smart. I kept volunteering. Kept writing. The blog grew. I started getting invited to speak at expat forums, retirement seminars. People wanted to hear my story, not because it was inspiring, because it was real. I lost $1.4 million chasing happiness in Thailand, I'd say. Don't do what I did. Some people laughed. Some nodded solemnly. A few came up afterward and said, I almost made the same mistake. Thank you. I also reconnected with old colleagues, not for business, just for coffee, for conversation. I realized I'd spent so many years focused on winning that I'd forgotten how to just be with people. I started taking long walks in Central Park, sitting on benches, watching families, couples, solo walkers like me. I wasn't lonely anymore. I was just alone. And that was okay. One evening I got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside was a small wooden box, and inside that a handwritten note. For the man who finally learned to see. See, I opened the box. Inside was a tarot card. The Fool. In tarot, the fool isn't stupid. He's the beginning of the journey. The one who steps off the cliff in faith, not knowing where he'll land. I smiled. Chan had sent me a message. Not a goodbye. A reminder. I was still on the journey. I put the card on my desk, next to my laptop. Every time I sat down to write, I'd see it. The Fool. The man who lost everything and started over. That's who I was now. And maybe that's who I was always supposed to be. I thought about her final reading. You will find love again. You will lose everything. You will finally understand wealth. She'd been right. I had loved. I had lost. And now finally I understood. Wealth wasn't what I owned. It was who I'd become. A 72-year-old fool, still learning, still growing, still walking forward. Even after falling off the cliff, so here I am. 72 years old, living in Queens now. I sold the Manhattan condo and moved somewhere cheaper. I've got about $780,000 left. If I'm careful, it'll last. I volunteer 4 days a week. I write every morning. I talk to other men who are thinking about doing what I did. Some listen. Some don't. That's not my job. My job is to tell the truth. The truth is this. I went to Thailand looking for something I'd lost. I thought it was love, or purpose, or meaning, but really I was just running from myself. From the emptiness I'd built in 40 years of chasing money. Chan didn't scam me. She warned me, over and over. I just didn't listen. I was too arrogant, too convinced I could outsmart fate. I thought my experience, my intelligence, my portfolio made me immune to mistakes. It didn't. If anything, it made me more vulnerable, because I'd spent so long trusting numbers that I forgot how to trust instinct, or people, or the quiet voice that said, "Stop, this is enough." I don't regret meeting Chan. I loved her truly, and she loved me. I believe that. But love doesn't protect you from bad decisions. Sometimes love is the reason you make them. Would I do it again? No, but I also wouldn't trade what I learned. I'm a better man now, humbler, softer, more useful. I've helped people avoid my mistakes. I've rebuilt a life that doesn't require millions to feel meaningful. That's worth something. I think about Chan sometimes. Wonder if she's still reading cards in the night market. If she ever thinks about me. If she's found peace. I hope she has. As for me, I'm okay, not rich, not broken, just okay. I wake up every morning, make coffee and write. I help where I can. I walk, I breathe, and I carry that fool card with me, because that's what I am. A fool who finally learned to see. Sometimes you don't get scammed for money. You get scammed for hope. And that's the one you never get back. But maybe you were never supposed to. Maybe losing it was the point.